Alrighty, guys. Once again, we're talking a little TNA here, a little, I guess, extra news from TNA. I've been hearing this from different places, and we've stayed away from the TNA news and rumor mill. But this was something I feel like we couldn't necessarily stay, but kind of like the president news and the Grand Championship news. It was kind of something we couldn't stay away from, but for so long. Um, and I wanted to try to talk about this as soon as possible, just because I think it would be a good idea. So apparently, as you can see by the text, Billy Corgan is done with TNA. He lost the lawsuit that he put out on TNA. He lost it, and now that he can't have what he wants, he's running away. And there's a lot of people that are mad, not at him for running away, not at him for saying that the company was insolvable as soon as he couldn't get control of the company, but they are mad because Dixie's still in control, and they are mad because he is gone, because this man was supposedly, from everyone who thinks this, was a savior. Now I will go ahead and put it out there. I never said he was a savior. Now, I did like the guy. I did. But then when he started to be a big baby, I couldn't like him anymore. When he started to run away, when things started to get tough, Dixie's been dealing with the kind of financial woes of TNA for like her entire time running TNA. It's never been the ideal situation. We've talked about this before. Now, Billy Corgan is done with TNA, and I guess we're just going to kind of talk about what does that mean for TNA? Is it really that big of a deal? Is it really that big of a deal that Billy Corgan is gone? Now, I'm here with Rabbit Jones, and I'm also here with Casey, as always. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. Everyone is like, oh God, I'm done with professional wrestling. One guy left, and I can't do it anymore. And I'm like, you realize he won't always hear, right? You do realize this, right? I just don't. And we talked about this last week. We did on the TNA review. Just in case you missed it, we'll probably hit some of those points here. But I just don't think it's that big of a deal. Last week we were talking about how basically, what has he really done that's been terribly different? Now, people have gotten on me about, oh, well, he's a part of the creative with the broken Matt Hardy thing. And okay, I'll give you that if you really think so. I'll give you that. And I'll give you the decay. But other than that, what has he really done that's really made an impact where you're like, oh, man, that's pretty cool. Like the Grand Championship thing, I gave it a chance, and I'm not saying that I'm completely shut down to it, but do any of his ideas actually have longevity? Because when you look at him, he didn't have any longevity. As soon as it got tough, he ran away. And I don't understand, what really made me mad, and I said this last week as well, but what really made me mad is when he couldn't get what he wanted. Oh, TNA is insolvable. There's no way, no how, no way it's gonna happen. And that's what made me upset. Because I do love TNA, and do I think TNA is gonna last forever? Who knows? It's a company. All companies come to an end at some point, more than likely, right? That's just how it works. That's just how business works for the most part. So, for him to say that it's insolvable just because he couldn't get control, I think is dumb. Now, I feel like, in my opinion, now this is just my opinion, I feel like, for the most part, TNA has been a very consistent company. Now, albeit, has there been some times where the X Division hasn't been showcased like it should have? Of course. Has there been some times when the other divisions haven't been showcased like it should have? Of course. But at least with the main event picture and the world title picture, to me, that's been a very consistent picture to me. Wait. And now, albeit, I feel like the X Division hasn't always necessarily been showcased, but whoever was in the championship spot pretty much deserve to be in the championship spot. They worked hard, they got themselves there, and that's and that was the reason they was there. So I mean, I just feel like
wait. But
yeah, sure.
let's start from the beginning though, where he starts suing them, and then what's the results from that? Why this started though? From the beginning,
Why
what's
did
the
the
details
lawsuit
in
start?
that? What's the
Or
details of that? See, how much you thought he was going? How much percentage did he think he was going to get? You know what I'm saying? When the family owns most of it, so he fighting over little pennies anyway. He
yeah,
wasn't gonna own the home. You know what I'm saying? The whole shebang. He was gonna be part of a small percentage of what's going on, because the mother
and I do
and the
I do want
family.
to point out real quick, Rabbit, before I
Yeah,
get a chance, just in case Casey want to give his points too. I do want to let y'all know, people who don't know, that the percentage that Billy has is not like it's just up in the air. Like somebody owns it. I think it's Anthem something. Anthem. I can't. When I figure it out, I'll let y'all know. But I think it's like Anthem. I think it's actually called Anthem. So like, but anyway, continue.
yeah. But yeah, that's what I was saying. The percentage was minor anyway, and the problem is, I mean, I know you want going to the what he done, but I want to nail down the fact that once they come in like him, they come in, they want to take over stuff, right? She offers them parts that really not the whole part of the company. You know what I'm saying? Because I think her parents own most of it. So the parts that she be playing with them with is not the whole thing. So when he loaning them money, see right now he was tweeting stuff earlier yesterday or today, matter of fact, talking about they ain't paid me today or some stuff. That's how you knew they he don't work there no more. Cause he tweeting out they ain't paid me. They supposed to pay me yesterday. Then he tweeted again upon you know what I'm saying the claims. I disagree with the judge. You know what I'm saying? He just really disagree with what the judge came up with. See, this is a disgruntled dude that tried to get it from a woman again. There's another one that failed because they think they dealing with a lightweight, and she ain't no lightweight. She ain't been around 15, 16 years, and she's just soft. A lot of big league wrestling people try to come in and take this from her. He thought he was gonna come in from a whole nother genre and come in and take her joint. It was silliness from the start. Now again, like I told you from the beginning, she bring people in and give them a chance, and then if you mess it up, you out. And once he gone, everything will continue the same way it was. I don't see no difference anyway. As you was about to say, you can go ahead and continue what you was about to say. There's no difference.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen much of a difference. Like, is the X Division being showcased a little bit more? Yeah, but is it necessarily the title? Not necessarily, because now we in the portion where we see in Team X Gold. So it's going back to what people said that they didn't want anyway. Now it's being showcased. It's being showcased, but it's not necessarily anything that's really different. The tag team division is the same way. The only reason that the tag team division really seems like it's being showcased is just because the Hardys are as over as they are. But Casey, did you have any initial thoughts before I forget about you or something? Not that I could. I'm just saying. Actually, Casey's going. Okay, never mind. We'll go back to Casey here in a minute. Looks like he had to take a second, but oh,
But like when he first started, when we had the conversation before, it's just giving these people a chance to. It was a good idea. She thought outside the box, like I was saying before. It was thinking outside the box, just like a owner of a football team or basketball team. They bringing people in outside the normal realm of the think box. You know what I'm saying? The people that been doing this, you try to bring a different look on it. I mean, I understand what she did, but once the people come in, they think they can just bully her and just take it. You know what I'm saying? And that's when they start running into problems. That's when they start getting difficult. And I think she just got. I think she just needed to stop bringing people in and just do it herself. I mean, enough. Just let it go. She been around long enough. She gonna be more experienced than anybody she bring in anyway. So to me, just let it go, man. Because people gonna hate you regardless. Because she's a female and she own it. Until that change, nobody gonna like give it the benefit of the doubt because that's just a fact of life. You know what I'm saying? Until that, or she changed the name of it and then fake like she don't own it and give it to somebody behind it, you know, just fake it. Then people like, damn, if she would have faked it in the storyline like he owned it, everybody be loving this stuff, you know? But the fact that it ain't going their way, they can't take it over, that's a problem. You see, then she just kicked him out just like she do the rest of them. That's how I see it.
All right, Casey. Any thoughts going right now?
A bunch of thoughts. First of all, I do think he was, in a sense, good for TNA. You know, not a ton really changed since he had been there, but I also feel like at the same time he hadn't been there for a huge amount of time. I mean, you know, just because somebody new comes in doesn't mean, you know, things change overnight or even within a couple months. Sometimes it takes a while to you know, get a change. Kind of like, you know, the Sixers. It's going to take them 80 years to change. But, you know.
That's not even funny, but you're right.
But I just think, and from what I've heard, the broken Matt thing was more the Hardys really than Corgan. But at the end of the day, I think, I mean, I get, you know, he wanted more control, but I think when you're coming in, you know, you need to have the best, what's best for the company in mind, not necessarily what's best for you. You know, you know, you could work up in time to, you know, maybe eventually buying the company out after, you know, a couple of years. But I wouldn't, you know, if I was him, I wouldn't come in just assuming, you know, you're going to be in control. You should come in with, you know, okay, I want to make this company the best it can be. I want to do what I can.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying, and because I feel like I get his perspective. You know, like rarely ever do you go into a company and say, I'm gonna stay at this position, this entry level position I'm in right now. So I get that he would want control of it. You know what I'm saying? I understand that. But I think what makes me mad is like, and people have talked about this, how, you know, when things get tough, he runs away from it, and I think that's what makes me mad about it. It's like, because I'm like, how is this guy supposed to be a quote unquote savior when things get tough? I mean, because if you are a savior of anything, when things get tough, that's when you make the most of an impact. Pardon the pun. But Casey, you had something to say, I thought?
Well, when we get into more of, you know, after I kind of wanted to talk about, you know, what's next too, but when we get to that.
Okay. I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen with the Grand Championship, because I know that was kind of his thing. Another thing I'm thinking about is Team X Gold, because just because someone leaves doesn't mean they don't keep that concept going, because if that was the case, the Impact Wrestling thing wouldn't be a thing, because that was created by Hulk Hogan for the most part, and they kept that for years and years down the road. And I think too, what kind of, like, I think people are kind of mad about, I guess, is they kind of wanted Dixie, if not gone, like in the background more so. And this was kind of their way to see that happen. And, you know, she was still, you know, doing her thing, just in a different. But I guess, yeah, we can talk about what's next for TNA, I guess, now that Billy's gone. And, you know, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, like I don't think you can say that, like, oh, TNA is gonna die because Billy Corgan's gone. Now, albeit, was Billy Corgan funding some things from what I've heard? Yeah. But that doesn't mean that TNA doesn't have sponsors. And that doesn't mean that someone didn't take over that spot. Apparently, Anthem took over that spot. And I think they have like television channels and stuff as well. I don't know right offhand. I have to research that while y'all are kind of giving y'all's points. But I do feel like, you know, I mean, things are gonna change, I guess you could say. But really, how much has really changed with TNA throughout its entire history? There hasn't really been a lot. The biggest thing and the biggest thing you think that's changed is kind of the production values. That they kind of fluctuated throughout TNA's history. It's either looked really good or it's looked just kind of small. That's kind of the biggest thing I've seen that's changed. But I don't think the in ring is going to change any. And I have seen some superstars from TNA be kind of vocal about it, like Mike Bennett and EC3 and stuff like that. But and I guess we're just gonna have to see how it plays out. I think TNA has always been a company that's been able to weather the storm a little bit. Even when it's rough at times, they still found a way to do what they needed to do. But Rabbit, any thoughts on kind of what is gonna happen next with TNA?
I see more of the same. I see them continue doing what they was doing before he came. So if we go back to before he came, where was at? Tag team mayhem. I mean, he wasn't nowhere around when that was going on, right? Then I don't even give him credit for the decay. So I was seeing Crazy Steve. He was already forming into the Crazy Clown theme anyway. So unless he put the tag team together, other than that, their character, I don't give him credit for that because that was going on anyway. So it's really nothing. But one thing I do like that he done is just the belt where the Grand Championship. Now that I give him credit on. I likes that because I like the way that makes the person have to wrestle pure wrestling, and you got to be in shape to do it. I like that fact. I like that match. I like that whole idea. That has to stay, regardless. That has to stay. For everything else, what's that with the 3-on-3 he got in the X division? That right there need more time for me right there. That's need more time because the matches they be having be good, So
yeah, I agree. The matches I really enjoy the Team X Gold matches. I just don't understand the concept.
Exactly. So that's the problem. That need more time for me because I like the way they come down. They mix the teams together. I like the way you have a tag team, then I have a single person. I likes all that. So I likes that. But I really don't understand what's the concept of what they doing, but the matches be good. So that and the Grand Championship were good ideas. When somebody do something good, you gotta give them credit. That's good ideas. That have to stay. But other than that, he brings nothing. He bring what? The character with the fur jacket on, and that's it. Scream.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing I'm gonna miss though. Cowboy, I am gonna miss that.
I was just about to say, screaming cowboy all day.
Never forget. Never forget. I'm gonna miss that. Or however Justin says it. I didn't want to even go that anyway.
Remember, they was doing the things at the Hardy houses before they brought them on. Remember that? Because I remember it was a big thing about it. Then I remember Vince Russo was discussing it when he was bringing them in to start taking over the writing and stuff, and it was already going on. All that already happened. So he really brings nothing to the table anyway, other than I guess he was doing the soundtracks or something. Other than that, I don't know what he was doing. It's no different. I just want to see more. I like that. Like I told you, I like those two concepts you brought into the game, though. I like that.
All right, KC, any thoughts on kind of your additional thoughts that you had?
First of all, I am wondering about the X Division and Grand Championship because I do feel like the X Division has been shown a little bit more since he's been there. Kind of pushed out to the forefront again, which is kind of where it should be, just because it is one of the one of the staples of the beginning of TNA that kind of helped build the company was the X division. So I hope they kind of keep that as a focal point. And I hope they do keep the Grand Championship. It is kind of growing on me. They need to still explain more of the Team X Gold thing. Like, is it building up to something? Is there some sort of tournament? Why are we specifically keeping these teams together unless there's some sort of tournament? But one thing I'm wondering is, now that Billy's gone, kind of what's going to happen with Aiden O'Shea? Because he was good friends with Billy, and that's kind of why he was sort of got back on TV. It felt like, kind of being his.
That is true, Casey. He's good friends of Billy, and he's also a good friend of the Instant Classic Wrestling podcast. We got an interview with Aiden O'Shea on the channel. I'm going to promote that at every point ever.
He was good with Dixie too. So he's still on the roster.
Yeah, because I like the character. I just wish he was showcased more.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I hope they kind of keep him. Maybe put him back in the ring. I don't know. Have the guy wrestle. That's what he does. But also, as for people are still arguing whether TNA has money problems or not. I'm one of the people. I'm one of the fans who personally liked the older Impact, where the production value was a little bit lower, where it was more simple. I don't necessarily like all the flashy lights and all that stuff. For a wrestling show, you really just need wrestling and good characters. You don't need elaborate sets. I mean, obviously for like WWE, you kind of expect it. But I don't really think TNA needs that. They just need good wrestling, good storyline, good, keep the fans interested in the show. And as for Dixie, I do like Dixie, but I think she could, for the most part, stay in the kind of the background, the business side of it. I think maybe they could possibly bring in like an on-screen GM or something, because I don't think they necessarily need that authority figure. TNA hasn't always had that authority figure like WWE, and they don't need it. So I think they should, if anything, just bring some, put some sort of like GM or something, that doesn't really do anything, but either way, I think, Impact isn't going to go anywhere. TNA isn't going to go anywhere. It's been, they've been out of business for 15 years and they're still going.
Right? They've been out of business since a day before they opened, according to the fans. So, that's how it happened. But, yeah, I guess the news is that Billy Corgan is done with TNA. And I was trying to find some comments of people talking about this. So I saw a lot of it, and now I'm trying to find it. But anyway, I just feel like it's not as big of a deal as everybody's saying it is. It's just not. Oh, here's a thread of 39 comments. Let's see what this says. F. Dixie Carter. That's what you expect.
Again, people just gonna say off the break. I'm gonna tell you what they're gonna be saying. If you get rid of Dixie, if you get rid of Dixie, if you get rid of Dixie, been saying that for years.
It's funny though, because people talking about how Billy was behind Lashley's push and all this, but
what?
Lashley was already what he was before. The only thing that made him better during this run was that his confidence grew. He really became more comfortable on the mic.
He got better on the mic, exactly. And
like when he was out there with the BDC, like that run, there was nothing wrong with that run. That run was good.
He been in his forefront. Yeah, and one thing about that, you can't tell me that because one thing about him, he's a black wrestler. So I noticing if a black wrestler been sniffing the championship for a while, you know what I'm saying? That wouldn't go past me, you know. And he been sniffing that championship for a while now, way before some Corgan came in the picture at all. He wasn't even nowhere near. This way back, MVP was here when MVP got hurt, and he had to take the match. A long time ago.
Yeah, this guy says I'll take the person who's made sure I can watch TNA for 14 years over the guy who came in for 1 year, funded 3 tapings, and thought he owned the company. I agree. I mean, I agree. I just feel like, Dixie's been here for as long as she has, and she's put up with a lot. When you really think about it, she's put up with a lot, and I don't know if she ever really gets the credit she deserves. And we've talked about this.
Exactly.
So I don't really want to dive into it too much, but Billy Corgan is out of TNA, and I don't think it's as bad of a deal. I don't think you should quit watching wrestling. Because I don't think people. Well, there's probably gonna be some people that do, but I don't think people are gonna quit watching wrestling when Vince McMahon dies. So, and I mean that would be maybe a reason to quit watching wrestling. Because Vince is kind of a
DJ.
As much as we criticize him,
you do realize that when that happens, WWE is gonna get better, right?
What?
When that happens, WWE is gonna get better.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying I'm going to stop watching.
It's for the audience. God forbid that happens.
Well, we all know Vince is never gonna die, so
that is true. But I mean, I just feel like I would stop watching wrestling because Vince died before I'd stop watching wrestling because Billy Corgan died, or Vince Russo died, or Eric Bischoff died.
I mean,
or Hulk Hogan died.
I personally still want to kind of, keep tabs on Billy Corgan to see if he goes back to his old promotion, if he, gets a job with another company. Because I feel like he had good ideas. He just wanted too much too soon.
Yeah.
I mean, WWE was getting all the leftovers anyway. You might snag him up too. Never know.
Alrighty, guys. Well, that was our kind of TNA news video, or kind of reaction to Billy Corgan being done with TNA and giving our thoughts about that. But coming up in the next couple of days, we'll be doing the list video we talked about, not the list of Jericho, but the other PWI top 50 women's wrestlers list. We might do it tonight. I'm not sure yet, but anyway, we'll see you guys later. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for us. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at ICW_podcast. Tell us what you think about Billy Corgan being done with TNA. Other than that, we'll see you guys later.
TNA.